A very good evening to you, my friends. I'm Clive Williams, and this is Love Talk. Why are we here? You know, it's not a rhetorical question. I really want to answer. I really want to answer that question. So the answer to that question, we're here because we have a problem. Why do I say that? As a people, as a black community, whether you're in New York, Atlanta, Florida, whatever state, city you're at, as a black person, we want to communicate to you that we are here because we recognize that we have a problem as a people. And if you don't recognize that, then after we share with you some of our observations, I'm sure you're going to agree with us that as a community, we need to address that problem. That problem is the state of black love. How we treat each other, how we care for each other, how we should nurture each other. And you notice I said how we treat each other, how we care for each other, how we nurture each other. And if you examine that, you'll realize that we've not been doing that at all. We've not been treating each other very well. We've not been caring for each other very well. We've not been nurturing each other very well. Why is that? You know, when I started, I got to give you a little background. When I started doing Love Talk many years ago, and this was back in the 90s, it was on radio. And at that time, I was also practicing as a counselor in Queens, New York. My office was on Hillside Avenue in Queens, New York. In seeing my clients at that time, it became clear to me that as a community, we have not accepted or bought into the concept of listening to each other speak and speaking truth to power. I will get back to that. But I want to emphasize that in order for us to address this problem, I have amassed or put together a group of like-minded individuals who are qualified, more than well qualified, to begin to address some of the concerns we have. I'm going to start from my extreme right with Professor Gail Lewis, who we welcome back. She's pretty much a fixture on Love Talk. I'm going to welcome Bernard Adolphus, who is our resident numerologist. He's our seer, and I spell that S-E-E-R, right? He's the sort of man that not just looks into the future, but he looks at the present and talks about how we can cope, how we can develop and use coping mechanisms that are available to us to address some of the concerns and the problems that we have. There's Annette Gordon to my immediate right. Annette is my co-publisher in our magazine, Where It's At, and she's also an editor with many years of experience in watching me work with individuals and groups resolving issues that we face. And so that is her reason for being here this evening. And so let's start our conversation. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are watching this now, I want you to just call a friend and say, hey, tune in to YouTube, Facebook, Where It's At. That's spelled WHEREITZAT, the Facebook page. And we're live on Roku. You can follow us on Instagram, at Our World Media. So this platform is Our World Media platform. And subscribe to your YouTube channel, Our World Media 1. Our World Media 1. And you be sure to get us. Now, let me just explain away something. Normally we're here at 6 to 7 live. You know that our lives recently has been disrupted by not only COVID, but COVID has set in motion a number of other disruptive factors that sometimes we spin out of control. So this evening we're coming to you a little bit late. This will not be the pattern. Starting next week, we're back at 6 to 7. So stay tuned that time. Make sure you watch us, listen to us. And we look forward to developing a better relationship with you, asking you questions, you asking us questions, and us coming to an understanding as to how to resolve the challenges and problems that we're facing in our community in the matter of black love. Because the crime, the gun crimes, the domestic crimes, and all the other types of crimes that are taking place in our community are reflective of the absence of love. And so when we talk about love, we're not just talking about romantic love. Love covers pretty much the whole gamut. And when we established this show, one of the platforms that we set up, the pillars on which the show is built, 4 pillars. Love of God, love of self, love of family, and love of community. So on that basis, we want to go forward. Again, thank you for joining us. Gail, I invite you to start the ball rolling, or Annette, whoever wants to start off, to talk to our listeners or those who are watching, what your thoughts are on this matter of black love.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again this evening with you. A little bit later than usual, but still, I think that some of the best things in life are the things that you have to wait a little while for. Nothing worth having is quick, generally. So I had a lot of questions this week. We were off for a week, so I had a lot of questions come in about navigating relationships. However, the specific relationships I got questions about this week are relationships with adult children. So, as you know, your kids are only your kids for 17 years. And then your relationship becomes a relationship with an adult or adults. And in navigating that relationship with your adult children, there are many rocky roads around money, specifically, around who gets what, around do you lend, do you let people fend for themselves as adults, and also around the relationships that your adult children have with other people, so the people they choose to be partners as well. So I'd like to start there this evening, if we could. When you're talking about relationship with your adult children, the first thing is respect of their space and respect of who they choose for partners. So if you don't like your adult children's choice of partner, that's a real conundrum.
It is.
So how do you navigate that?
Well, the table has got to be set way before. And part of what we call home training, you remember that old term, home training? We don't often hear that anymore. Wonder why? It's now become antiquated, right? So I'm seen as an OG now. So I talk about home training. But that preparation starts from the home. You set up expectations. You set objectives. You help your child. I remember specifically when my son was all of 8 years old, I would sit with him at the dining table. And one of the things I would do is go over with him what his goals and his objectives are in life and help him to begin to write that down. This evolved over time. Did it help in his choice of a mate? Somehow, I think. But does it solve the problem? No, it doesn't. Because all you can hope for is that all the training, the support, the advice, the counsel that you give to that child, because of the cognitive awareness that that child might develop, that child would have downloaded some of those suggestions, right? Hopefully. And you hope that that would carry over into adulthood. Some of those ideas and trainings do stick, some don't. But at least you would have prepared the child who now becomes an adult to be in a position to make a choice. And that's the key. I think the real key is in helping that adult make choices. One of the toughest and one of the most debilitating aspects of one's life is the inability to make a decision. Indecisiveness, doubt, timidity. These are the things that restrict relationships and hold a child in place, actually stopping the development. A sort of arrested development situation occurs because they're afraid. So the best we can do is start the preparation early. But then we have a space in reality, right? And we know that too many households are absent the whole parent, mother and father. And so I would suggest that mothers who find themselves putting themselves in the role of fathers, please find an uncle, find a male. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not showing weakness. It's not admitting that you are not capable of this, handling this matter. It's just another perspective, the male perspective, one who has certain experiences and is able to offer an addition, to what support you're giving that adult child. And I think it's called mentorship, you look to find mentors, and where your adult children might choose a mate that you don't like, you got to live with it, because I think somewhere along the line, you, the parent, had made choices that your parents didn't like. So I want you to reflect on your own life. And this is where I'm going to get to that, the self-awareness part of how we can develop ourselves. Once you become self-aware, after a while you begin to accept. My personal story, did I like the guy my daughter chose? Not at all.
You are very honest.
Yeah, I had to suck it up. She made other choices, and finally, she made a choice that I says, okay, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. The best I can do now, and to be supportive and to be positive and affirmative, is to give help in whatever area I can. I'm not God. And that's what parents, you got to realize. You are not God. You're playing God. You are playing, as I try to play, it doesn't work.
Well, you kind of anticipated me, because my question would have been, as a single parent, how do you do that? How do you counsel your child? How do you get them in a place where they can live how you would like them to live?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said how I would. You see, that's the thing. We have some challenges that are not easy. Because understand that our structure has been undermined from the very get-go, right, as a people. Folks, I want you to listen to me carefully. There are those of us who are fortunate I consider myself fortunate in that my structure, my foundation was very strong. There was mom and dad there. But I had the opportunity to look at my neighbor's children, and I saw that there was an absence of that structure because it was mom who had to work, who had to take care of business. And that child did not get the attention that I got. And I could measure the degree of development we each had. So one thing that I think is really and truly absent in our communities is that we do not engage the support of others. We are going to have to address that concern on another level when I have sifted through and dissected some other information that I need to have. But for some reason, Brother Bernard, we are not calling upon each other. We're not speaking truth. I shared something with you earlier on in the green room, right? We do have a green room. That's nice. Yeah. I shared something with you about my grandson. And I was not hesitant. My question is to you parents out there, single or two-parent family, why is it that when you have challenges, you keep them to yourself? Has it ever occurred to you that you can seek help, that there are people who are empathetic, people who are caring, people who are parents like yourself, who can give you the benefit of their thoughts, their ideas? That's one step. Second step, find a professional. And here's another thing. There are organizations, clubs, institutions that your child can be part of, that they can get this little extra help. For myself, I prefer the sort of individual mentoring from a friend, a well-established family friend, or mentor, someone who is well-equipped, experienced in their particular field, and in a broader life experience, a seasoned person who can offer help and guidance in a controlled environment, of course. You know, you're not going to let your child or, to someone's space without supervision. That must be emphasized. Supervision must be in place. But do seek help and stop. That's another issue that we have to address, that sense of false pride that black folks have about not willing to share.
You mean the everything's all right?
Everything's all right.
Yeah, no, everything's fine. Yeah. What do you mean everything's fine? And I don't mean to be flippant when I say that, but we have the don't let other people in your business, right? That's a big pillar. Your home business is your home business, and everything is just fine. And I say that to mean not everyone does need to know your business, of course,
right.
But when you need help, you should be able to reach out to one or two people. You don't have to put all of your business on IG. But you do need to reach out to a few people who can help you. And like you said, a professional, that's always great. But a lot of times we don't know where to go for a professional. So maybe your fastly approaching, your child who's fastly approaching adulthood has a coach or a Girl Scout leader, or a band leader, or someone in their life who can help you in mentoring them. And again, that's not letting everyone know everything that's going on in your home. You don't have to be that. We don't live in glass houses, I hope. Mm-hmm. But it is reaching out to one or two people who are in a position who can help you with your fastly approaching adulthood children.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Gail. Very insightful. Annette, were you
Yeah,
going to say something? Bernard, I want you to jump in.
That's great.
I want you to jump in when you're
I
good and ready.
absolutely agree with what Gail was just saying, because, as she said, we don't know everything, and there are always somebody that you could go to. You must be able to say, look, go and talk to Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, and have that person help you in whatever is happening in your life, because parents, sometimes we are blind.
Here's the irony.
We
in
don't
it.
see these things,
Here's
but somebody next door will see it,
yeah.
and you can talk to that person.
Here's the irony. Here's the irony. This is how we used to be as a people. This is why reconstruction of our former ideals are the thing. This is how, as a black community, we used to see and be concerned with our neighbor's child. And people now are responding, and I'm hearing you saying, oh, but these kids, they are fierce. You can't even talk to them. I'm saying, so what? We're adults. Have we lost our power? Have we abdicated our responsibilities? Have we just given up? Are we playing dead now? So that's where we are. So I'm saying, get your power back. Take your power back. Begin to address. Believe me, whether they're adolescents or they're little children, they do look to that voice of authority. They will listen. Oh yeah, they'll act out. And there are those who will act out in an unseemly way that you can't believe. But stand your ground. Become parents again. Become part of the community. We love to talk about, what's this cliche we use? It takes a village. Yeah, sure, right. You're being a village. You notice kids are doing things on a bus, on a subway, you don't say a word. What kind of village is that?
If I can devil's advocate for a moment, if you get involved, that's twofold. So it's real easy to say, I see someone's children behaving badly and I should step in. Two problems. First, do I want to get involved with someone's kids who might push me, hit me, pull out a whatever on me, get their friends to jump me? Do I want that? No, I don't. And also, because you said, you don't know. So do you want to get involved there with people, with children who are strangers? And also, parenting. Do you want to insert yourself in as a parent into someone else's child's life who you do not know? It's just there. That it just seems fraught with a lot of issues there.
So it's cautionary, right?
Absolutely.
So it's cautionary. My thoughts were that these are children that you know in your community,
Right.
that live within the precincts of your community. But no, I do see that, it's fraught with danger.
Yeah, if you're on a bus or a
If you're
subway.
in a bus or
yeah.
a subway or something. But again, there are defensive mechanisms which we can use. We see and we note the situation. Then we might want to call an authority and say, hey, look, this is a bad situation. Do you want to help here?
And if I can devil's advocate again,
Yeah.
I'm always hesitant to do that with children of color because I don't want them to start down the road of getting involved with the police, of getting involved with authorities. Because in our history, those things don't turn out well, and I just don't want to introduce that into a child's life. It is, and I know that. Please don't tweet at me because I know that we should get authorities involved. But sometimes I feel like with children of color, I'm hesitant. And I mean, unless it's something egregious where you have to call an authority. But I'm hesitant because I don't want to call police on children of color. I don't want them to start going down a road that might end badly. And don't tweet at me because I have cops in my family. I'm very love of police officers and authority, but it's not policing, but you might introduce those children to a police officer who is having a bad day and might take it out on those kids. And then that might not end well for those children. And so I'm always hesitant to that. I would rather not call an authority unless it's something obviously that you need to call an authority for, because I just don't want to introduce that into their lives.
And so, Professor, we're faced with
A conundrum.
I would rather say an impotence, because this makes us unable to effectuate any sort of action that would mitigate situations that are going bad. So what do we do? And isn't this sort of evidential of the black problem? We're standing in place. We don't want to get the authorities involved because we have been badly treated by the authorities. At the same time, we are concerned about our personal safety. So what have we done? Is this a place of abdication now, where we're saying, damned if we do, damned if we don't? So we are inactive. What course can we take?
My question is, when and how did we get to this place that we can't speak to our children, we can't speak to our neighbors' children? When did this happen? You know, there was a time when you could easily do that, and Miss Brown would say, "Thank you so much." Now Miss Brown is going to tell you where to go, and why do you think you have the right to parent my child? And so, what do we do?
Bernard.
That's why an easy way through life becomes a part of it. We have to find roads for them. On my block, with all my kids and their families, because I knew about numbers, I was able to have a better control over them because I showed them their value, their worth. When I was coming up, I hang out. I'm with the bad, the good, and the ugly, but I spend much more time with the good. You see? So what we need to teach is that this is what you're worth, this is your value, this is what you're good at. You see? And to show them that, I used to tell my son, if I tell you when you get to the corner, don't make a right turn, and you make the right turn and you fall in a hole, don't call me, because I warned you about that. I used to tell him, and he thought I was cold. I said, listen, I have a policy on you. If you want to go and do something and get yourself in trouble, and you die, I have insurance on you, I'll buy a car and put your name on it. Yeah. He said, Daddy, that's cool. No, it's not cool, it's reality.
Yeah.
You see, because what we had when we were younger, they don't have now. Like we were just talking, they don't have it now. So we got to put it in place, like a GPS.
So, based on my theme, reconstructing Black love, life, and relationships, we got to go back to the drawing board. We've got to reconstruct some rules. There's got to be rules of the road. I mean, every sport we play, almost every activity that we participate in, there are rules. So you're a parent at home right now, and you're watching, and you're listening to this conversation, and you're saying, Professor Gail is absolutely right. We shouldn't interfere. And Clive, you're really bonkers, because if you think that I'm going to put myself out there at risk to talk to any child who might, hit me over the head, I'm not. So where do we stand? Listen, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk some more about this. We'll be right back. This is Love.
You get off the plane and you're like, wow, I'm alive.
You have to breathe because it's breathtaking.
Is the center of the world.
Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens.
They have the Rockaways, the beach, the Flushing Meadow Park.
Small places that you never think exist.
From there, we'll go up to the Bronx.
Nature. Brooklyn. Got Coney Island. You get to happen upon things.
Yes.
Manhattan never gets outclassed.
Chelsea, Soho. Hay cosas ya de lujo. Es un área bien fancy, ¿me entiendes?
Go to the Empire State Building, go to the top of Rockefeller Center.
Staten Island.
Staten Island. There's something for everybody.
New York City is an awesome place to come with family.
You got things for kids, you got things for adults.
Even like museums have amazing story times.
That's the beauty of this organic city. It creates new flavors of what once was coming from another country.
All of it. Everyone's welcome. The biggest rainbow in the world.
Ελάτε στη Νέα Υόρκη.
New York State's largest African American Chamber of Commerce, known as LIAACC, is now accepting new membership candidates. LIAACC has appeared on WABC, Here and Now, NBC's Positively Black, WLIW21, FIOS1, and in Long Island Business News. Membership consists of a variety of men and women of distinction who have been bestowed some of the most prestigious awards in the region. We host monthly membership meetings and signature events, including the Long Island African American Business Expo, Annual Health Fair, Ladies of LIAACC Annual Women's History Month program, and our annual Black History Month art exhibition. Join by simply logging on to our easy new membership sign-up portal at www.liaacc.org.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel.
Kids use music as a way to provide language for their emotions.
Talking about my feelings with my mother, I'm just be quiet. In the back of my head, I'm like, man, this ain't it.
I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
I immigrated to America when I was 20 from a country called Uruguay. I have two careers. I'm in the Army Reserves, and I have a civilian career as an engineer. And I have two wonderful children. Every day is a challenge to make sure that the time that I have, I spend with them. It doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to be there. You have to be present for them. You have to try to teach them. When they learn something new and it just clicks in their brain, I just realized I could do this. And you can just see in their faces. It's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
Hi, my name is Maya Delgado, and I am the brand ambassador of Kids Breakdown. And this is my demo video. Enjoy!
Download app on Google Play or App Store.
Create account. Choose avatar.
Enter Kids Breakdown Roadmap.
Roadmap consists of math, spelling, memorization, and matching mini games.
After each minigame, personality and interest questions will appear to pinpoint which job may suit you best. After completion of all 8 minigames, you will be presented with jobs you may want to learn more about.
Read fun facts about all the different types of jobs within the law, science, and arts career.
Use your gold bricks to make your job environment fully complete.
Go back and play minigames to earn more bricks if needed. I hope you enjoyed the Kids Breakdown demo video. Make sure to download today and share with your friends. This platform will pave the way for kids who are just like me, the groundbreakers of tomorrow.
Welcome back. I'm Clive Williams. This is Love Talk. Right next to me is Annette Gordon. She is the co-publisher and editor of Where It's At magazine. Bernard Adolphus, numerologist, and the very charming Professor Gail Lewis. Are you happy with the way our children are behaving on the subway, the buses, the streets? Are you content with the lack of respect the children show? I'm going to lay down the gauntlet. I'm old school. Does that make me stupid? Does that make me a bad guy? I think not. I think it makes me seasoned. I think it makes me practical, experienced, and I think it makes me in a position, having lived a life, much of it tumultuous, to be able to say to younger people who have not yet begun to live their lives that, hey, there are rules. There are rules. In case your mom and dad never told you, there are rules. And guess what? If you don't play by the rules, the same rules that you play by when you play football, when you play, what are the games kids play in basketball?
Soccer.
Aren't there rules? When you play soccer, well, I call that football, but you call it soccer. It's okay. Tennis, there are rules. So, if rules apply in the games, the pastimes that we indulge in, if you're playing a board game, whether it's be checkers, cards, whatever, there are rules. You don't just do your own thing. So, what we're seeing here now is that we have subculture becoming mainstream. What was once subculture? That kind of behavior was anathema. That has now become the mainstream behavior, right? People do exactly as they like. They break the rules. And guess what? We're accepting it. I'm sorry, I'm not accepting it. I was on a course playing a game recently. My playing partners and I encountered some people who were behaving badly. My partners did not respond. I responded. I stood my ground. Okay, so I'm told by my family that, you know something? One day, because everybody carries a gun, one day somebody's gonna, you know what? I've been alive a while. I've seen guns before. And look, we gotta stand up. We got to stand up. We got to stand up and say these are the rules. Let me ask you a question, guys. Seriously. I mean, there are aspects of us that have to develop as human beings. And I think you might have something on that, Bernard. You know, there are elements that we have in us that need development.
Yeah.
What are they?
Spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, and your intuition. It's a balance of all of them. If you give each of them 20%, it becomes 100. Nobody has 100% 365 days a year. It's a balance.
No, we'll go over that again. So in order to become real human beings, to function like normal human beings, we need what?
Spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, and your intuition.
Okay.
It's a balance. And once you balance them, your life becomes much easier because it's the same as what makes us compatible. It has to be the whole, not a half, not three-quarter, it's a whole. So somebody might fall in love because of the physical and finance and the financial side, but that won't hold a relationship together. It's not enough. It needs a whole. And that's where the problem lies.
So what is your solution to the young people? Where do we start in beginning to reframe the conversation that they are making for us, that we're not relevant anymore, they're running things?
We are showing them that what is creation? Why were we created? How are we created? Where all our weaknesses and our strength and our capability comes from? And to show that the way we are created is mathematically. Everything about us is a number. If you have too much of one, you have to learn to tone it down. Meaning, whatever you have too much of. Look at a man like Nelson Rolihlahla del Bunga Mandela.
That's all his real name.
That's his real name. Okay. If it was only Nelson Mandela alone, he would not have been able to sit in the prison for 27 years and become the president. It's not enough pieces to work with. But because that was his name, look at we call that his mentality. See? And that's why he became such a powerful person.
So you're saying that names are important?
Very much so. It's your mentality. Whatever letters missing in your name, that's what you're missing mentally.
Question: why aren't we teaching these things in churches where we have a captive audience of families? Why isn't this being taught in churches? And I don't want you guys to hold back. I mean, I'm reverent and I'm respectful, but I speak truth to power. Why haven't our churches pivoted to the realities that we now face? We're facing a generation of kids who have been kind of raised and nurtured by technology, a different species. Technology is their teacher, their master. So why haven't we pivoted to begin to address these new concerns, these new issues?
But it was a taboo put on all numerology, astrology. That was something that they keep in the dark and not the light, because the name of the game is that if we know that the more letters we are playing with, the smarter we are, then they would not call their children JB and CK and RG. They would call you by your name. And I think the Western world is the only part in the world that does that. Other countries lengthen the name, not shorten the name.
I go further. In other countries, in the Scandinavian countries, for example, there is a rule: you have to present the name to a registry before that child gets that name.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because they want to ensure the continuity of their language, their culture, and their naming. In other words, if you are from Denmark, for example, you got to present your child's name to that registry. And they will, because of people going off the beaten track and naming their kids all kinds of weird names, they say no.
So instead of choosing a traditional, let's say, Danish name, if you're in Denmark, or maybe you might, I don't know, make something up, moonshine.
Precisely.
No.
The registry will reject it.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I gotcha.
Absolutely. I mean, it's even done in Mexico. There are registries in other countries, in Germany, in other countries.
So are the metrics for that they're looking for a name that is more traditional or in keeping with the culture, or are they trying to make sure that the names have a certain number of letters?
No, two things. The name stays with the culture and the family genealogy and so forth, and that people don't go crazy, as Bernard was saying, and name their children Adolf Hitler.
Right, or moonshine.
Or moonshine, or...
Don't tweet at us if your name is moonshine, please.
Yeah. So, and are we crazy here? No, we're not crazy. We're saying that your name impacts tremendously on your outcomes.
Definitely.
That's what we're saying.
100%.
Is this new science to you? Then stay tuned, because we got more new science for you. And this all pertains to loving yourself. If you love your name, you know what it means to you. For example, twice I spoke to someone on the phone this morning, and twice this guy says, Clyde, and I says, no, stop. Let's start over again. Now, I could have made it easier. I could have said, like Clive Davis, but no, I didn't do that. I went the hard way, because why would I want to identify with Clive Davis? Why? I'm Clive Williams.
Did you spell it for him?
So I spelled it a third time for him. And so we're saying that people are really unaware. They're not listening. They're not paying attention. Big problem, right? If I think I've said it on an initial show, that I have in my rack of things to do writing a paper or, book. I don't even know what time I'll find to do that again. Talking about books, I must talk about yours and mine. The fact that people are not paying attention. So I wanted to write about stop, look, and listen. I remember as a kid, my mom took me to the railroad, right? First, the train station. I was maybe 6, 7. I wasn't 8. I was younger than that. And there was a sign that said, stop, look, listen. And that sign, my mother kept emphasizing, stop, look, and listen. And she says, if you don't stop, look, and listen, that train comes up here so fast that you will die. Very impactful on my mind. But now, fast forward, many, many years after, I was having a challenge with a problem, and that sixth sense, seventh sense, whatever it is, said to me, instructed me, stop, look, and listen. What an amazing life it would be if we could get people to start doing that. It's the beginning. When we talk about meditation, people start leaving the room, right? Because that's, again, not something that's Western.
Right, that's that thing that people might do in the gym on a mat, or, if
in
you're
a room
really
somewhere.
Stressed out, you might do that. But who does that?
It's right.
That's
Who does it?
That's
It's
the
that
general
strange.
thinking.
Precisely.
I think
That's
prior to COVID, that was the thinking. I think now we've gotten more in touch with. We need to.
We hope.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think so.
I'm hoping. We
Yeah.
we need to get in touch with meditation and ourselves more. We've all just been through such trauma after COVID that I think meditation is becoming more
acceptable.
I don't want to say acceptable, because I think it was always acceptable, but more mainstream. Maybe I'll say than it was prior to COVID.
You think?
I think that one of the things that is important also is that we must learn how to control our feelings and our emotions.
That's part of. Thank you very much for opening the door for me to talk about emotional intelligence. Because that's self-management. That's part of emotional intelligence, a very integral component.
Okay.
Annette?
Since we're there.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I got was, normally I'm a calm person, but there are times when my partner just tick me off and I go ballistic. How do I handle that?
It's the self-management part of it. And this is a process, folks. It's not a destination. Look, it's like learning any other skill. We are talking about learning skills, life skills. We continue to learn. We make mistakes. And this is why the process that our Creator has established for us is so interesting, fascinating. We are given intelligence for a good reason, that we can build on it, that we can expand it. And so, yes, when your partner ticks you off, as I have been ticked off by people, today, not unlike any other day, somebody ticked me off. Now, normally, I'm ticking myself. So I was telling Annette, I simply said a few words to the lady, not bad words. I simply said, You ought to know better than that. Something that amounted to that.
And she was an adult. She was
An adult.
Okay.
You know, and normally, before I knew what I knew, it would have been a different situation. So I'm evolving. So folks, I don't want you to look at this as a zero-sum game. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to have to start over again and correct those mistakes. So you blow up this time. And then you look at it because you're self-aware now. And you said, oh my God, I blew it. I blew up, I lost my cool. So what do? What's your next step? So you apologize to the person. That's where it starts. Making the awareness more profound, you apologize to that person. Having apologized to that person, you know how difficult it is to keep apologizing. So having apologized to that person, you now begin to raise your game. You will find that, it takes 30 days, they say, to develop a habit, a new habit. You will find that you develop as you go along. You will always have something else to contend with. There's always be another challenge. But that's the game of life. That's what life is all about, right? Always, the more challenges you have is the longer you're going to live, because you are going to have to learn coping mechanisms to deal with it. Guys, look, life is challenging. All right, let me not
sugarcoat.
Minimize. You know, life is tough. However, we can find, but the key thing is that we are goal-seeking mechanisms. We thrive. We live for challenges. That's why we're who we are. We're human beings. We live for challenges. And so with each new challenge, we build a new pathway in the brain that tells us, okay, we're getting better. So it takes you to my age to get better at stuff. But the thing is, you are aware. And once you have established awareness, then you can build on that.
When you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that first also, one must learn to cleanse one's mind. And
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I was just about to do that again.
I believe that we take too many things we have too many things in our mind that happened 10 years ago that is not serving any purpose.
Oh, wow.
So when something happens to me, I question it. Action, pause, reaction. There's an action, I stop. Okay, Clive caused that to happen. How important Clive is to me before you react. That's why you have 2 ears. You go right through here and come through here. Watch what you're buying into. You're buying into too many things. You cannot upset me if I don't want to be upset. That's a fact. I'll walk away from you. I will tell you I'm very sorry, but I will not allow. It's like watching a movie and getting emotional. I turn it off because I don't want to become emotional. I turn it off. Control. You see, and it works well.
How do you get to that place that you can control so easily? Because I think it's kind of hard.
He didn't say it was easy, right?
It takes a while, but it's something that you practice on a daily basis. Like for instance, you said that he ticks you off because you wanted to be ticked off. There was something in you that he just hit something
that was festering.
Yes,
there was something
he
festering.
was the igniter that ignite that.
Yeah.
So you don't need no igniter. Make sure there's no igniter, nothing to ignite you.
Yeah, we live.
So don't live in a tinderbox. That's
Precisely.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if we could just take a few steps back, Bernard, because you say so many really impactful things. You said before about our minds are filled with things that happened 10 years ago. So how do you move beyond that so that you're not living in that tinderbox, so that when your partner has an open flame, you don't ignite?
Well, that's where God comes into play. Give it to God. God is the judge. You did something to me, I'm not going to judge you. God is the judge of that. Okay, so you keep giving. Make a list of all the things you want to give to God that happened in your past, that hurt you, whatever, and let God becomes the judge of those people. So your mind is free. Because it's either you created it or you allowed that person to create it for you.
So here comes the big F word, right? It's not what you're thinking. Forgiveness.
Yes. Flourishes from understanding.
Forgiveness flourishes from understanding. So you forgive. Folks, all that pent up negative energy that you have, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
That's really easy to say, but how do you do that? How do you give that to God?
Can I just say something before
sure.
you do? I have been doing that. Now, you're there, you're watching, right? And you're saying, Clive Williams is saying this, right? You don't seem to be that kind of guy, but I am. In my daily meditation, whatever I can't handle, I says, Mother, Father, God, I cannot handle this. You take it. I can't. There's no space. There's no room for me to handle that. You take it. I pass it to a higher power. What's so hard about that? I can't. What am I going to do? Pretend like I can handle it? I can't. So.
Yeah, but the first thing you want to know, did you create it or it was created for you? And if it's created for you, by whom? How important that person is.
What you're saying.
So in other words, we're giving our power to somebody else.
No, to God, because He's a creator. Something happened in my life, and that I realized that I created it. I would tell myself, okay, Bernard, that was on you. And I let it go. It's easier to lose $10 than 100. Something will happen to us, minor or major. It depends on how we live our lives spiritually.
Yeah.
My cousin, who is actually watching right now, hi Yvette, she sent me something, and it's actually my screensaver right now. And I'm reminded of what Bernard just said. I always want to say Bernard because we were colonized by the British. Yeah. So every time I say Bernard, please don't take it personally. It's
I
colonization.
Love the way you say, so that's quite all right.
It's 300 years of colonization at work there. So I'm terribly sorry, Bernard, not Bernard.
Bernard, I like that.
Because we were trying to be people we weren't back in the Caribbean after colonization. So it says, whatever your problem, do not nurse it, curse it, or rehearse it, just hand it over to God and He will reverse it. So I'm thinking about what you all just said.
Yeah. Hey, that's powerful.
Yes.
Can you go over that again for me,
Sure.
please?
Yes.
Whatever your problem, do not nurse it, right? So do not hold it, which is what you were saying.
That's right.
Do not curse it, which is probably what Annette does, which just says, under her breath. I know. So don't do that. And do not rehearse it, which is something I would do, which is create a scenario in my mind and say, well, when you say this, I'm going to say that. Right? Yeah. So do not nurse it, curse it, or rehearse it. Hand it over to God, like you were saying, and He will reverse it.
Yeah. I've been doing that. I pass the baton, right? I'm saying you're my big brother, you're my father, listen. Why am I going to play Atlas, right? Holding up the problems, and it's crushing me. I pass it on, and if you wanna smirk at it. It works for me. And maybe, just maybe if you try it, no, not maybe, it will work for you too.
That's a fact.
All right? We just got a few minutes left here to wrap up our show. So any last words?
If I can, Bernard said 5 parts of your life that should each be given 20% of your time. And what are those 5 parts again?
Spiritual,
Bernard?
physical, mental, emotional, and your intuition.
And if we're a little off key, like one is getting 50%, what should we do?
Tone it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tone it down.
Tone the volume down.
Bernard and I have been working together for many years, decades, as a matter of fact. And one of the things we teach is integration. Those elements, you need to integrate them. We need to reintegrate mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul. We need to be mindful of that we feed each of these parts of us. We're not just physical, like some people live. It's for the car, it's for the clothes, it's for the party, it's for the... No, the mind and the soul needs nourishment too. And, we just want to encourage our listeners or watchers, the people watching us, whether on Roku, on YouTube. There is a new element that has arisen in the relationship sphere, in the theater of relationships, that are talking a kind of verbiage that I don't understand. It's blaming the women for being this, blaming the men. I kind of wondered what side I was on, right? As a former therapist and as a human being who experiences life. And I realized that I'm on neither of those sides. I don't want to be in the blame game. I want to be in the gain game, where we all gain. So, in establishing Love Talk and in establishing this template of reconstructing Black love, life, and relationships, we want to create a space for folks who are watching us to begin a conversation about where we go from here. And I think each of you have contributed meaningfully to that discussion. We hope to take this further. We hope to take this into groups, discussion groups. So if you have a situation, a facility, it's rough times, we're living in pandemic times. So clearly, the invitation is not going to be a large space to address a large group, but certainly we're willing to talk to you, especially Bernard and myself, about the challenges that you face and how we can begin to mitigate some of those problems and to reconstruct our family, our Black family, and our lives. I want to thank you guys for coming back. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Annette. And for more information, we want you to follow on your Instagram page, Our World Media, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Our World Media 1. I'm Clive Williams. This is Love Talk. I want to thank our engineer for being as incredible as he always is. Thank you so very much. We'll see you real soon.